Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to a rain-soaked Rochester, New York for episode 135 of NerdPod Generations. As always, I'm one of your illustrious hosts, Steve Taylor, along with the lovely Al Jutsum. Hello, sir.
Hello, friends and enemies.
Dude.
What's going on, dude?
It's
been a time.
We've had this water issue by our driveway where the water builds up and we would get a nice big puddle on our driveway. It's gotten so bad because of the amount of rain we have. The entire driveway's covered in water. So I just spent $300 on stuff to put in a French drain to drain the water away from the...
Wow.
So I have to do that shit on Wednesday, which let me tell you, I'm not looking forward to that. I got to dig a 50-foot trench that's 18 inches deep. And I have the tubing and all the stuff and the stones, and I got to do all that shit. But it's like, it's gotten so bad that our driveway, which is already a hunk of crap, is just going to crumble and fall apart.
Yeah. No, the rains this year have been crazy.
Dude.
There's a full-on duck pond over here that just shows up every 2 weeks. That's not usually there.
Yeah. And then we're going to get 2 days of sun, they say, and then it's going to rain again in the middle of the week. It's like, dude.
It's been raining, and not like light rain.
No,
like heavy rain.
Well, this morning it wasn't supposed to rain at all, and I went to get mulch at Lowe's, and I'm pulling this cart with 20 bags of mulch on it, and it's raining on my head. And the woman's like, oh, do you know they're loading it for you off to the side? I'm like, no, because there's no signs, and you didn't tell me until now. So let me go load my mulch, you mother... Yeah. So.
Hey, just go down to the Penfield Town Hall. They got all the mulch you want.
Yeah, we used to get it from there, but that mulch is like hot trash.
It's not good, but it'll get done.
We got one. I'm surprised there's not dead bodies in it. Like, it's so just garbage.
My parents' entire backyard is built out of that mulch.
So. No, I mean, our front yard was for years, but now it's like, I got 20 bags and it was $40. So that's not bad.
That's not too bad.
It's I think it was 5 for 10.
Yeah.
And they're massive bags.
Yeah.
But anyways, folks, on to NerdPod Generations. So if this is your first time listening to us, episode 135, please go back and listen to our back catalog. And if you go listen to us, make sure you like and subscribe to our podcast. And then go to youtube.com where you can see little snippets from episodes. And once again, you don't really see our faces. You just see our lovely new logo. It's like 40-minute bite-sized pieces of our show that you can listen to. And make sure you subscribe to that as well.
It's
and
not
let us know what you think.
It's not all middle-aged dads talking about gardening. That's not usually what we do on this show.
No. And the funny thing is my mother-in-law was mentioning that she might start listening to the show, and I wanted to warn her, saying we do use colorful language.
Yeah.
And I will never stop using colorful language because language is important to me. But I should have left with that caveat. I didn't. So maybe I'll have to warn her next time.
Yeah.
In case she has not listened to it yet. But anyways, folks, we have a big show today. And as always, we like to start off our show with what we've been watching, playing, reading. I would like to start if that's okay.
Go right ahead.
Quick little side note. Usually I make a bigger deal of this. We did watch Ant-Man, my son and I. It's Ant-Man. He laughed at it. It's dumb.
It's
I don't think you have to say anything else.
It's
the first
Ant-Man
fine. Is a throwaway.
It's a movie that could have been great.
Yeah.
And instead, it is just fine.
It ended up being, for us, the movie we had to watch so that we could watch Civil War. That's pretty much what it was, too.
Yeah,
I know. You have so much love. So
there's a dark line on the horizon, and it's coming.
Oh, I know, Homecoming. I know, we're not going to talk about that. So the thing I wanted to bring up, my family and I went and saw Kung Fu Panda 4 today, which was really good.
Yeah.
It was very good. I kind of had to laugh. They like the fifth person on IMDb is Mr. Beast. He plays a character that just says, "Gauche." That's it. He said one word. And he was fifth on the freaking call sheet. And they had Seth Rogen on the call sheet to reprise his role as the Mantis. All he does is grunt in a post-credit scene. And I'm like, Jesus, dude, you're really stretching for these faces on this. Yeah.
Wow.
But the one thing I wanted to bring up was we went to Apple Cinemas.
Yeah.
I have a lot of thoughts on this.
Because you hadn't gone before.
Had not gone before. This is the new cinema that's open here in Rochester, New York.
That I raved about last week.
It's open in a bunch of locations in other parts of the country. I have a lot of feelings. Okay, first off, it is beautiful, the theater. When you walk in, it's gorgeous. Very minimalist when you walk in. I don't know how that place is going to be open for a year.
Why?
I'll tell you why. It's just 35 seats in our theater. I think is what it was, 30 or 35 seats. Half of them were full. Mm-hmm. So it's like, to me, I think this type of situation, this type of business, you need to have a lot of seats filled. So on a Sunday at noon to have half the seats filled in a kid movie, that one was a little, I was like, okay, that's a little weird. Me being a former restaurateur and having that ear for listening to employees, man, they're having staffing issues.
Oh, really?
And I think the big problem is, and the thing that I wish they would do, now mind you, we got food. Food was good.
Food's good.
Overall experience cost us $150 for a family of 4 to go.
Yeah.
That to me I think is going to be the death nail for them.
Well, it's a restaurant and a show.
That's why. But it's like you could see and that's the problem though. And the problem is right now restaurants are having such a difficult time staffing, getting good staff in. Like I could tell there were issues in the kitchen. When we were leaving, there were people complaining up front because they got half their orders and the manager who was on had no idea where the other half was. And it's just like, so you're dealing with two issues. You're dealing with the typical movie issues, but then you're dealing with restaurant issues and the staffing issues that come with that. So what I kind of wish they would have done was more of like what the Little Theater in downtown Rochester did, where they put in a bar, they put in a coffee shop with the bar, and then they just have baked goods. And it's like, that way you're cutting out a lot of the issues you would have with a full service restaurant. You're still getting that feeling of, okay, this is a different experience than a typical movie theater, because you can go in and sit at the bar, or you can go get a cappuccino and you can talk and there's tables and that I totally get.
Yeah.
I just think the idea of the restaurant is what's going to be its ruin.
See, I'm really glad it's a restaurant, honestly, because I love Dine in theaters. It's one of the greatest joys in my life is going to a movie and actually having a really good meal while I'm there and having the option to have drinks and other things. So I'm really happy it's a full service dine-in. I can get that that's an issue, but I also look at there's a lot of places that have been very successful doing this model. So I know it's two things and you have to do them both well.
But where were those locations at?
Yonkers.
Still though, New York City.
Well, Yonkers. It's not like people are coming up from Manhattan. They were so successful in Yonkers that there's now one in Yonkers, in Brooklyn, and in downtown. And Staten Island. When we moved to New York, there was one in Yonkers. And that was it. And in the intervening 10 years, they have brought in 3 additional locations. And they all do incredibly good business.
See, but that once again, I think the thing is, I know this market when it comes to food service very well. And I don't see it being the concept that would work necessarily, especially in Pittsburgh. Like maybe if it was in the city, somewhere like...
See, I don't think in the city
Park Avenue. No, not like cities, like one of the artsy areas of the city. You know what I mean? It's just... This is the kind of issue I ran into with when I worked at the restaurant in Victor, that they had locations in, I think it was Syracuse. It was either Syracuse or Buffalo. They put what would be a good concept in a certain area in the wrong spot, and it did not work. Because we kept trying to tell them, listen, this doesn't work in this area, and it doesn't work with the size that you're dealing with. And once again, my big concern is not necessarily the dine-in movie thing. I just know the issues that restaurants in this area are having now with staffing, with quality control, with all that shit. And just the fact that this has been open for a little bit, and I'm sitting there listening to this manager saying, I contacted my boss and they never got back to me. And it's like, I can see the cracks already forming. And it's like, dude, if that's already happening, and then I'm in a theater that's half full on a rainy Sunday, that just doesn't necessarily make me feel warm and fuzzy.
No, I get that.
And like I said, I wish, and my wife and I even said this, like we enjoyed ourselves. And I don't want anyone to think I didn't enjoy it. We enjoyed ourselves as a family.
Yeah.
But at the price point, for a family at least, it's not worth it. You know what I mean? Like before we even went to the theater, we noticed that Kung Fu Panda 4 just came out digitally where you could buy the movie for $30.
Yeah.
So it's like we could have bought the movie and owned it for $30 and had all that stuff at home. We spent $150 because of the experience.
That's what you're buying, though.
That's what you're buying, this experience. But like for us as a family, maybe 3 times a year we'll do that.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's going to be as viable in this area.
See, I don't think that they're catered to families. You look at the movies that are available that they have showing, And even if you only have half full theaters, they have so many theaters that they have that are showing things that aren't being shown anywhere else. The number of Bollywood movies that they have showing
That's
there.
the thing that I'm excited about, though.
Yeah.
And I hope they stick around because of that fact. Because, like, there's that Devara, the one I want to see coming out, which I hope they show there.
Yeah.
And we could go do, like, a watch
and review. That'd be great.
But I agree with you. It's not catered to children. So the thing that confused me, and this is once again from that restaurant brain, the kids' meals were not spectacular. And it's like, of all times that you could have just put a Crustable with a bag of chips in a box and said, here's a kid's meal, probably would sell crazy. And that's one less thing you have to cook.
I guess, but if I had that experience where I had kids and I came and that was what they got, I'd be pissed. Like, you want the kids to still have, the meals might not be great, but you don't want them to have something that they could just have at home. That just doubles down on your point
But here's
before.
the thing, though. Once you have kids and you have that finicky, I won't eat anything type of deal, and like, we bought chicken fingers and fries for Gemma, she ate the fries. She never even touched the chicken fingers.
And she ate the fries.
But I know that if there was an Uncrustable with chips or even with fries, they would both have gotten that and eaten that for lunch. Ethan ate popcorn because he didn't like anything on the... Like, if it's not catered to children, craft their menu at least to make it more price effective when people do bring their kids to the theater.
I can appreciate that. I just think
because
that...
I think it was like $10 for the chicken finger and fries.
That's a lot.
You know, the chicken fingers weren't great. I gotta say, the hamburger was good. I enjoyed the hamburger.
I had the hamburger when I went.
Yeah,
it's
it was
a really good burger.
I enjoyed the burger.
Yeah,
and I do like the ordering at
I think the ordering system is good.
It's great. I'm more concerned than disappointed. I am disappointed. The bathroom was fucking disgusting.
I did not go in the bathroom.
It smelled. It was sticky. And the one thing my grandfather always told me when I was growing up, he goes, if you ever go to a restaurant, go to the bathroom first. If the bathroom's dirty, you don't want to eat there. I'm not holding them against that with this, but I think that goes into the staffing thing, because you could see that there was like a mop bucket outside of it, but nobody had touched it in the entire time we were in that movie. And I'm like, I don't know if they've really... I don't know if this is a franchise, and whoever bought the franchise really thought through every part of it, which is why you see a lot of restaurants fail. A lot of people will go into it thinking, oh, I can run this. They have no idea what goes into running with something like that, and then they fail because they're like, oh, crap, I didn't know this, and I didn't know this. And, you know, I'm assuming people working there, I don't know if they'll be getting $15 an hour plus tips.
I mean, that's minimum wage.
But if you're getting tipped, I think the tipped wage now is, I think it might be $10, might be under, I can't remember.
Okay.
But you're going to have a really hard time retaining if the clientele is going to be sporadic. You know what I mean? Nowadays, you'll see some restaurants that don't do well consistently. The service is going to be very sporadic because you're not going to get people to stay. Because you go in one day, you make $200. You go in the next day, you make $20. And I've seen that. I've done that. I've been there. And that's where my concern is kind of. And that's where I'm a little wishing they would have. And like I said, I'm not saying don't do food.
Well, and it's also
think of doing food in a way that's not as intricate.
Yeah. Well, like the thing for me is there's a wait staff, but there's not like a proper wait staff. So when we sent in tips, you send in tips to a general pot. Which is, I assume, divided up at the end of the night.
There's got to be a tip pool.
I don't know the ins and outs of how the theater itself works, but I am glad that it's here, and I do like it quite a bit. I hope it is successful. I think you do, too.
Oh, I do. But once again,
You're pessimistic about their chances.
Because here's the thing. I think they need people like us when we went to spend the $150.
Oh, that's definitely true.
Next time we go with our kids, we've already said we are going to put candy, juice boxes, and all that shit in my wife's purse because we can't afford $150 to go every time. And it's like, that is where it's going to become a problem, I think, because I don't think we're going to be alone with that. Because the price point's so high. I tried to separate when we got in the car. I said, if we went to a movie and then went to Red Robin, we would have paid the same amount of money. But I think the thing is, it's looked at as two separate experiences, and so you see more value in it.
See, I find that the combination increases the value because I can have the Red Robin meal and enjoy myself while also watching a movie that I want to see, and I don't have the loudness and pressure of a restaurant and everything else going on. It's kind of a more intimate thing where you're there, you still have the great restaurant meal, but you're there watching a movie that you also really wanted to see. So one of the things I've been so sick of these last few years is going to Regal or Lowe's and trying to find anything to eat that doesn't suck. Yeah. And it's always I always just end up getting popcorn because there's no other options. There are options on the menu, but they're never actually available. And so it's like, I really like going to a theater where I can sit down and order a really nice meal and watch a movie that I've been wanting to see. And in one case, at least, it enhances the other usually. So it's like the meal enhances the movie and the movie enhances the meal. And you can, on the other side of that too. But even, I remember, this is a different movie theater, so it's a little bit of a different experience. But I remember going to Alamo Drafthouse and seeing Hail Caesar. And me and Kelly were so jacked for Hail Caesar. We were so excited. And we went and we saw a matinee and we got brunch and it was great. The movie wasn't. The rest of it was great. And the movie wasn't terrible. It just wasn't what we wanted. But we still had this really nice experience to go with it. So it's like, okay, even if the movie's not great, you still have this really nice restaurant experience to go with it. And I think if they do some stuff that the Alamo does where they have second run movies or like flashback nights.
That they would have to do.
I think that helps a lot.
And a lot of my complaints that I have are because I'm seeing it from a parent's view, not from a non-parent. Because when you go there with the kids and the food comes out and the movie has started, you're not watching the movie. You're saying, all right, do you have enough napkins? Do you have this? Do you have... And you're not paying attention to your movie.
See, I think that's a fully different thing. This isn't necessarily made for families, or at least families with young kids.
I don't think the concept is made for families, but I think they're going to end up being reliant on families because they need to bring in more people.
So what they do then is what they did with Alamo. So at Alamo, what they would do is have specific family shows where there isn't the usual rules about not talking to the theater or making noise. Everybody knows that you're just going to go in. I think they call it like Saturday morning something or something. And it's just family hour. Basically, they just have the entire programming for that one theater. I think the big difference between Alamo Yonkers and this theater is the amount of theater space they have.
There's a lot.
Yonkers had 6 to 8 theaters, something like that.
This
has
9?
Like 15.
Is it 15?
It's something like, there were a lot of different theaters in there. Over 10. I know there were at least over 10.
How many seats were there per?
This is the thing, is I don't think that they're worried about having big audiences. I think that they are thinking we're going to have good designated seats and also offer good food. With the idea being that the seats are cheap enough that you don't mind going in and ordering a food because that's part of the whole experience anyway.
See, I think you were onto something, though, of them having to do theme nights. Or not theme nights, or flashback nights. Yeah. Making it a super experience to go, like do a triple feature of the first 3 Indiana Jones movies.
We did that. We watched the first 3 Indiana Jones movies at the Alamo. And so we had popcorn at the first one, we had a full meal at the second one, then we had dessert at the third one.
Yeah.
And we went and saw Ninja Turtles 1 and Secret of the Ooze back to back in 2017, right as It came out. So we watched those 2 and then watched It, and we did all of those in one day. Those are some of my favorite movie experiences. We went and saw the Cornetto trilogy that way. So like that, I think, is a big key. Is offering things that you can't necessarily just go out and see, but still offering the big movies of the day.
And I would recommend to them adjusting their menu. Because, like, I know this is going to sound bushy and douchey, but, like, when we go to see a Bollywood movie, I would like to have a glass of wine and maybe, like, a small cheese platter. You know what I mean? Yeah. Something where it's like, okay, this isn't a... Because, like you said, having that Red Robin experience. If I go to a movie and it's a dine-in thing like that, I don't necessarily like I said, I enjoyed the hamburger. It's not really kind of what I want when I watch a movie. Like, if I watch a movie at home, usually I'm not eating like a full meal.
Oh, see, I am.
I'm
That's
eating
my
like
whole go-to.
I'll have like a cheese and crackers, or I'll have something that might be nicer, but it's not this massive like greasy thing. Like,
see, like we're just coming at this from 2 polar differences, because that to me sounds like fucking heaven. Is you have a nice decadent meal, a meal that you wouldn't normally have, and you just enjoy it, like a pulled pork sandwich, and you're just like, fuck yeah, this is amazing.
And I think that is the difference. Is I've never, wanted those two experiences combined.
Oh, I think that's
get
your chocolate in my peanut butter.
But well, now here's the thing. How many more people think like me or think like you will be how if that place succeeds?
I think it might be a generational thing. I think that 10 or so years between us, because you also figure people my age aren't having kids as much. They're more worried about insular nature.
I waited until I was 40. Almost.
But this is what I'm saying is that
I waited a long goddamn before I had kids.
Well, me too. We're still not there yet. Yeah. But like what I'm saying is, I think that there is a growing audience for that, and I think that when movie buffs, especially younger movie buffs, have that option as an experience, they like experiences. That's what they go out and do. That's what they like to spend their money on. They don't want, I'm very atypical of a lot of millennials because I love stuff. And so my house is just full of stuff. None of it's expensive. None of it's important to anybody but me. But man, I love it. And so I think that a lot of millennials have the opposite feeling where they're like, no, give me the experience. Give me something that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. I'll spend a lot more money on something that is going to give me a great experience and not have the stuff in my life rather than, this is why so many industries are going down according to anybody over 60. We don't like stuff anymore. We want experiences, and I think that this is emblematic of that.
It is. I just, like I said, I was optimistic, but the ending, because I overheard the employees at the end. Ethan and I were sitting on one of the couches out there waiting for my wife and daughter in the bathroom, and that's where I overheard things. And that's where the pessimism, because I've always had kind of a sixth sense where I've left a restaurant that ends up closing 6 months before they close. Because I'm like, I see the cracks.
Yeah.
And that's what concerned me. Because like right away when I heard that the upper management were not returning texts for issues, it's like, once again, I don't necessarily blame the concept. It's just, I don't know if whoever's running this concept is quite doing it properly.
Well, I get that because Yonkers was super tight about that. They were very well staffed. The entire Alamo chain is very well staffed and very well trained, and everybody knows their job and how to do it.
And I think it's now mind you, I've never been to Alamo or any of these other places, but as of what I've heard and seen about them, they are not corporate feeling places.
No.
This place felt corporate to me.
I don't know that this felt corporate to me.
Just the way people talked, looked, acted, it seemed very sanitary.
But I've never heard of Apple Theaters. That's not like some big chain.
Like if Regal came in, chain, though.
But if Regal came in and they were trying to establish a dine-in theater option, then it's like, that's a fucking established chain.
But it wasn't necessarily like that I've heard of it. It's just the look and feel of it had a very sanitary kind of corporate feel to it, to where if like difference between going to a Starbucks or going to Java's.
Yeah.
Totally different feeling when you walk in. This felt more like a Starbucks than it did a Java's, where I'm feeling like an Alamo Draft House would feel more like a Java's. Where you're like, okay, everyone, like the people that work there are just passionate about the work, the movies, the experience and all that, where everyone that I interacted with there just felt like this is a job. I'm just making money. I could give two shits about the movie. And it's not like they were mean, or it's just I didn't feel that passion.
Yeah.
Which this concept to me feels like you would need that. Like you and I, if we worked there, we'd be like, oh my God, I got your food. How do you like the movie? It's just like we would be like so into it. And everyone's just like, hey. Guy even brought us wrong food. And he's like, he was going to walk away when I was just like, did we order a hot dog? I'm like, no. And he was going to walk away. I'm like, dude, this is for B, not C. He's like, grabbed it and just walked. And I was like,
they're still getting on their feet. They only just opened.
They are. But it's like, typically when a place is just getting on their feet, they're over enthusiastic about making sure everything goes right. It never goes right. But they're over enthusiastic on making sure it goes right. And I did not feel a second of enthusiasm from anyone that I came in contact with.
Yeah.
Including the manager at first. They're like, is your first time here? We're like, yeah. And they're like, well, that's that, blah, blah, blah. Like they were like, the person even kind of rolled their eyes and put their head. I'm like, I'm here with my two kids. We're going to spend $150 here. Maybe. Hey guys, how you doing? What's going on? None of that. And I was kind of like...
That's a staffing issue. That has nothing to do with anything else.
It is, but it's like, if that's what the running of the place is, that's where I'm concerned. Like, it's a Sunday. Sunday should be all hands on deck. Families, people, everything should be coming into that place. Man, everyone should be on point. Like, maybe on a Wednesday afternoon, totally get it, if everyone's a little more relaxed. Saturday and Sunday in a movie theater is your fucking bread and butter.
See, I come from a standpoint of I totally get it. I've had that day at work where you're just like, fuck this. You know, like I'm going to do what I need to do to get through the day, but I'm not going to try extra hard.
But that's the thing. I've had to have this discussion with people for years. I've gone through deaths, divorces, anything you can name. You would never know it because customer service, you're an actor. You are completely an actor. It doesn't matter if somebody just ran into your car. You go in like you just bought a Ferrari. Yeah, you know what I mean. You got to fake it to make it is the best way to say it. Yeah. And you see the places that are the most successful is you feel welcomed. Yeah. I didn't necessarily feel welcome.
I get that. I can understand. You know what I mean?
And it's like, if you're just going to AMC and buying a ticket and buying popcorn, they don't give a fuck if you're there. Yeah. But if you're going there for an experience and you're going to drop $150, you better have some enthusiasm. You know what I mean? You better feel, especially if you see kids. That's anyone that's in service industry. If you see children, butter up the kids and the parents will fucking love you. See, that is the key.
Again, we're coming at this from polar opposites. The less my waiter talks to me, the happier I am, dude. No, but
that's the thing. I'm coming from the business side of it because I've been in the service business for so long that I'm looking at what they need to do to succeed, not what I want from them.
See, what I want from them is what they're doing. So to me, exactly. I'm like, this is going to work.
That won't be successful in this market. That's what I'm trying to say. If you are trying to get families to come back, or even if just parents, like, because my wife and I, once again, we could go back, just the two of us, but we kind of had a little bit of a turned off experience that I don't know if we had a date night, that would be our first choice. To where the more you suck up to the family when they're all there, the better opportunity you have for not only the parents to tell their single friends or people without kids, but the parents to come back without the kids, maybe get a couple extra drinks. You know what I mean? Yeah. You got to think about every aspect of it.
I get that, but also, like, again, that's just not how I approach a movie theater experience. That's not what I want.
This isn't a movie theater experience anymore.
But it is. It's still fundamentally a movie theater experience where you eat really good meals.
But that's the thing. It's when you're paying this type of money, it's a different. It's not a restaurant. It's not a movie theater. It's a different animal.
I'm going to tell you straight up. At one point, me and Kelly went to the Alamo Draft House and we saw Amazing Spider-Man 2. And I was super jazzed about this movie. I love this movie. I still have a very fond feeling for this movie, even though it's not perfect. Kelly's card got rejected, and it was right at the height of the movie. And the guy came over and had a little like, oh, I'm sorry, we got to figure out this card thing. That pissed me off. And that was something that needed to happen. I wanted it to happen after the movie was over, when the credits were rolling. I wanted them to come over and explain what had happened. If a waiter wanted to talk to me at any point when I'm going in or out of the theater, if that kind of shit happened when I'm trying to watch a movie, that pisses me right off. When I went to that theater and saw Lilo and Stitch as a kid with my family, nobody came up to us and talked about anything. And if they had, we would have been like, fuck off. We don't want to talk to you.
This is what I mean, that it's a different animal. It's a different experience because they have to get that payment, because if the movie ends and you bolt, they need to make sure they get that money, because now it's not just the movie that you bought a ticket for, it's the food that you also got during the movie.
But I think it's like how Wegmans puts the milk at the back of the store, right? So you walk through and you get stuff because you have to walk all the way through the store to get to the most important things, right? All the bread and everything is at the back of the store. Once you're in there, the theory is that you're going to spend money anyway. It's not like an eating experience going out and having like being waited on. The wait staff needs to be as minimal as possible. You don't want to interact with the wait staff at all. But if you go to the bar and you want to order a drink and talk to the bartender, that's its own thing. But when I'm in that theater, I don't want to talk to anybody.
No, but you got to think, though, the typical experience in a theater is you buy your ticket, you buy your popcorn, you buy your drinks ahead of time, you pay for it ahead of time, money's taken care of, and then you go into the movie. So if you leave during the movie or after the movie, doesn't matter because everything's paid for.
But you paid for it digitally here.
But if the money doesn't go through and you're halfway through the movie and they realize that, they have to get that. Like for us, it was $100 for the food.
Yeah.
If for some reason halfway through that money, my card for some reason got declined, they would need to get that money, because if the movie ends and we just left,
your card would have been declined before you ordered any of the food, dude.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, just the experience you're saying is, obviously something happened, and during the movie they needed to get that
right,
payment.
but that was fully different than how the theater is set up here.
It is, but it's like,
if anything, that was my one complaint about Yonkers, was that there was too much waiter interaction, and it was just at inconvenient times. In fact, the first time when we were going to go and see Monkey Man, I came down and I was like, how much better would it be if you could go to Yonkers and open a tab like you did at the bar, where you just hand over your card and you're like, hey, this is my card, this is my seat number, this is what I'm going to be ordering from, put everything on this card. And this is a step even beyond that, where you can't even order the food until your payment is accepted. So, like, to me, it's even easier, because now it's like, I don't have to interact with people at all. This is the future that people are horrified by, of like tablets at Panera. But like, to an introvert who doesn't like talking to people and just wants to go and have the experience for me has nothing to do with any of the people around. As long as they don't poison me, I don't fucking care about any of them. The experience for me is the food and the movie and the person I'm with. I could not give two shits less. And in fact, whenever people at any establishment come up to me and want to talk to me, I'm like, I really want you to go away, dude. Like, I just cannot emphasize enough how little I want to talk to you right now.
See, and I think I see the divide we're having here. It's, you're seeing the experience, I'm seeing the moving parts behind the experience. And I know what goes into the moving parts behind the experience, and that's where my concern is. It's like, that's what changes this from just a movie to a bigger, more complicated monster. Because it's not just, this is my experience, this is what I want. It's like, okay, but I know what goes into making that experience what it is now in its current state, and it's a much different fucking thing. And it's not only is it more complicated, but there's far more moving pieces. There's far more issues, because not only are you going to have somebody, like, what if the burger's cooked wrong, if the food's not good? And then you're like, okay, I got to get up from my movie now. The guy with the apple juice, his kid didn't get apple juice because every kid's meal is supposed to get a drink. He had to get up, leave the movie, go tell them that. And it's like, that changes how things are. And you know there's going to be people, if they order a cocktail, gets delivered during the movie, if it tastes like shit, they're not just going to sit there. They're going to have to leave the movie experience to go figure out what the drink is.
See, what they need to do is what Yonkers did to figure this out. What Alamo does is, because it's still a weighted staff, they have little notes. That's how you put your order in, is you write what you want, you lay it down, and then the wait staff comes by, picks it up, and takes your order and goes. If you need anything, you write a note. So if someone's being noisy, or something's been lost, or you didn't get something, or this isn't your card, you write a note, you put it there, the wait staff comes by, picks it up, checks what it is, and replies in kind. If this system had like a system whereby, I don't want to encourage people to go on their phones while they're in a movie, but if you could go to the app and request something, and it's the exact same as when you're ordering food and you say, hey, I never got blank, or you could even just open up your order and just say missing blank, blank, blank. And then the wait staff can get that as a message and be like, oh, that never came, or something happened. And whether it's a lie or something else, we can figure that out later. But like, I think that would also still resolve the problem, is just have a way where you don't have to get up and go, where you can just discreetly be like, hey, I didn't get my beer. When is that going to come?
But then that rolls into, do they have enough staffing that is going to get the messages?
But I think that's its own issue.
That is, but it's a big issue.
It's a big issue, but I think it's corollary to the entire thing, where it's like, if the conceit and build of it should work. If it doesn't work, it's because the people running the machine don't work. But I think the machine itself is a great machine.
But, and I was thinking about this more when you've been talking about Yonkers and all that. I think why those places are successful is because they're in more, you know, I know Yonkers is not New York City, but it's in New York City. You know, it's close enough. You are going to have a clientele who is going to, be younger, like you said, not have kids. You know, more people who are used to going to art events and going to theater. And it's just a much different experience than being in Pittsburgh, New York, where it's going to be an older group It's going to be far more families live in this area. I don't know if it's in the right spot for what you're saying, and I agree with you. I think it is not only a generational thing, but you're trying to get that younger, non-child crowd.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the right location for that. It's kind of what I'm saying. It's like you threw it in the middle of rich, old families.
Yeah.
And it's like, I still think a concept similar to what the Little Theater did would work better there, which is still very similar.
Yeah.
It just doesn't necessarily go quite as far as, you're getting all your stuff ahead of time. You're not ordering at your seat. You are getting different foods and you're getting liquor, you're getting coffees and all that, but you're not having that service kind of thing. So I think if they could find a happy medium, that might be good. I'm just very concerned with what I saw. Once again, I enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
I like the concept. I like the idea. I just don't know about its viability in its location, in its current state.
This is one of the rare moments, Friends and Enemies, where me and Steve actually have like a lively debate for 40 minutes where we are on polar opposite sides of an issue.
But here's the thing is we're not really on opposites in the broad scope of it.
Oh, yeah. No, we agree on concepts.
We're just coming at it from two different sides.
Two different views.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's, like I said, you're coming from the experience view. I'm coming from the business side view of it. And I think we end up having the same agreement on, like I said, I like the idea.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. I just don't see the viability necessarily.
Yeah. See, to me, the thing is that Rochester only has, 4 major theaters?
Yeah.
The Little, I wouldn't even count as a major theater.
I know AMC is trying to roll out, better foods. I do like the idea of, and I know you could do it on Fandango. When you get your tickets, you can pre-order your food.
I've seen that. I've tried it. It didn't work when I used it.
It didn't work either for us.
Yeah.
But if they can figure that out, so for an AMC, if you have a nicer menu, but hey, I want this sandwich and this, I'm coming for this movie. If you can have it ready 5 minutes before the movie starts, and then you just go pick it up.
See, my thing is that then you get into, I'm going to start eating my burger because Nicole Kidman won't leave the fucking screen. She won't get off the fucking screen, and I can't wait any longer. God damn it. I wanted to wait and enjoy my burger while I was watching the fucking movie.
Did you notice the Nicole Kidman thing was shorter the last time, though?
I think they edited it a little bit down.
I think they're starting to edit it out.
I hate it. Get it out of here. The Regal one is worse because the acting and the haircuts are far worse than that one. They're so bad. But this is intolerable.
Yes.
I say this to you every time we go. You already have my money.
Yeah.
You can't get any more from me today. And in fact, this makes me want to give you less of my money.
Yeah.
So get it the fuck out of here. I already sat through all your commercials and all the trailers and all the notes and all the things. And we thank you for coming. And we thank you for coming. And now Nicole Kidman is going to come out and thank you. Fuck off.
See,
let me watch the goddamn movie.
Not counting the Nicole Kidman part. I knew this discussion would go here, and that's why I saved it for the show.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, as soon as I left that theater, I'm like, I'm saving this topic. This is going to be a good topic.
Well, this is great because I had almost nothing for Watch, Play, Read.
Which is good because we got a lot to talk about.
I was going to say, I had the scraps of Watch, Play, Read. I was like, I've been playing Spider-Man, and that's been really fun, and you can watch me play it and complain about the parrying system, which is one of the big notes that I've had so far. The story's pretty good. The way that they've intricated Harry Osborn as Venom is very interesting. I like it.
Interesting.
It's really well done. It reminds me a lot of the Ultimate Universe. The Kraven storyline with cancer is very close to comics, so that's fun. They have Chameleon and Mysterio and Sandman. There's a lot of fun stuff in this game. It's not perfect, but it is fun, and it does have that genuine feeling that a lot of comic books have where I'm just sitting there being like, Peter, you just gotta do this one fucking thing, dude. If you just did this one fucking thing, it would solve so many of your fucking problems. Anyway, I do enjoy it. I still think I like the first one a little bit more, but that also has a nostalgia quotient to it, so it's not a truly fair fight. I was going to mention Dropout, my beloved Dropout, because I still love Dropout. They've had a lot of really good.
I was going to say, you haven't talked about it in a little while.
Yeah, they've had Game Changer has come back, and it has been a banger of a season. And Fantasy High Junior Year is excellent. Nice. It's so funny and so good, and Brendan Lee Mulligan is such a great host. And I'm so in love with everything Dropout. They have a lot of new shows coming out, and so far the ones that they've introduced have all been hilarious and awesome. They're going to have stand-up shows from some of the people that work for them. So they're going to do like Netflix-style stand-up shows.
Awesome.
Fucking love it. I'm so jacked for it. I can't wait.
I
was going to talk about trailers, but there wasn't even trailers.
No.
Like I wanted there to be like a nice trailer hit to go down. But like there's some stuff. There was a lot of horror movies that came out. There's one with James McAvoy.
Yeah,
Don't Speak.
Yeah, that one looks interesting.
Or Say No Evil.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that looked interesting. There's a new Sean Bean movie. There's a movie called Dark Matter with Joel Edgerton that looked interesting, where it's like one of those, he gets abducted and when he gets out, no one recognizes him and he knows everybody but nobody knows him. But it looks like it's even further than that, where it's like parallel realities. So it looks pretty interesting. I might see that. I'm gonna only say one thing about Joker. The trailer for Joker that came out, Joker 2. When you swing a baseball bat, you want to swing through the hips, right? Keep it straight through the hips, through the knees, generate power. If you're going to swing really hard, you need to make sure you're not going to tear out your back muscles. I have a feeling they're going to be walking around a little stiff because they swung really hard and really missed. And we're going to see how that goes.
I don't think you can base it all on that first trailer.
I don't know. It looks like they fully blew everything.
Because we came from the first movie. Like, I far appreciated and liked that movie a lot more than you did.
I hated that movie.
You hated it, and I loved it. So
if you've seen King of Comedy and Taxi Driver, you've seen Joker.
Yes.
But that's not okay. That's not okay.
That's absolutely fine.
You can't parade it around like some great piece when it's two movies that you've just slapped together.
We're going to talk about that with our guy later. I'll tell you that much now.
God damn it. Harley Quinn is the one that falls. She doesn't tempt Joker to become more jokery. That's not the whole point. And she's a fucking doctor. She might be a nurse here or an inmate, but she's not a doctor. What the fuck is this?
I'm interested.
I'm not.
I know you're not.
This looks like bullshit.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I can't.
I don't even care about Joker as a character. I hate the Joker as a character.
You do?
I think he's reductive and stupid. And he's just, he's the Fight Club of Batman characters, where it's just like angsty 14-year-old boys are like, oh, fuck yeah, Joker. Anarchy, anarchy. And then they go downstairs and sip their milk and listen to their songs that were generated by multi-million-dollar companies.
The reason why I always loved the Joker was because you think about it, my first two Jokers were Jack Nicholson and Mark Hamill.
Which were both better Jokers than Joaquin Phoenix.
So that's the thing, though. It's like, to me, I just love the character because that's my introduction.
Heath Ledger is still the best Joker that there will ever be because he's genuinely frightening. And I don't know how we can go any further than that. Then you had Jared Leto was terrible, and now you have Joaquin Phoenix, who is just like, oh, poor little baby Joker who has a bad wee-wee.
Well, I'm curious to...
His wee-wee don't work. He don't get hard. This is your God, is all I'm saying. Is every 14-year-old, this is your God.
I'm wondering what they're going to do with the next iteration of whatever DCU is going to do. And I got to throw out real quick, because you just brought up Jared Leto's Joker. If it's going the way the pictures show, what the hell are they thinking about with The Bride of Frankenstein having Christian Bale with like tattoos on him?
I didn't see the tattoos. I saw the brain scars.
There's a brain scar, but then he has a tattoo like on his chest, and like people are like, "What the fuck is that?" Like,
it's made out of bodies,
but it's like you don't need to do that. That's kind of what everyone said with the Joker thing with Jared Leto. It's like,
maybe he has the sternum of a sailor.
Could be, but it's just, I don't know. It was just like, it's only a picture.
That is so not even close to a concern.
No, it's not close. And it's not close, but I wanted to bring it up because you mentioned.
Yeah.
Because the biggest thing with that iteration of the Joker is like, what the fuck's with the tattoos and the gold teeth? That's not the character. It's not anything. Yeah. So, you see that first picture of Christian Bale and he's got a tattoo as Frankenstein. You're like, oh, what the fuck, dude?
This doesn't bother me.
But I don't know, like, I'm wondering, what made me curious is when does that movie supposedly take place? Because it's like...
I mean, even if it still takes place in the 1800s, people had tattoos in the 1800s in Europe.
I don't think it was nearly...
I'm just saying, all you need is a sailor or a traveler or something.
We'll have to see.
And you have a tattoo. It's not the most inconceivable thing. It's interesting.
Christian Bale as Frankenstein.
Yeah,
I'm
Maggie
on board.
Gyllenhaal as the Bride of Frankenstein.
I'm totally
Looks
on board.
interesting. Yeah,
absolutely.
Better than Angelina Jolie as the Bride of Frankenstein.
I don't even want to talk about that. Or even
Johnny Depp as the Invisible Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff.
But De Niro as Frankenstein, that was kind of rough. I didn't mind it. I loved. Why can't I think of his name?
Kenneth Branagh. That's right. He directed that.
He
yes.
directed it, but he played Victor Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I thought he did great, but then even Helen Bonham Carter as the Bride was awesome. But then De Niro, as much as I love De Niro, I just never bought it.
Hey, they could remake it now and it would be perfect. It's called The Irishman. It's a proof
Yeah,
of
so
concept.
it's like
it's a perfect proof of concept.
Hey, he's got kids. He's young enough.